Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be playing as Brazil and we're going to be forming the greater Brazilian Empire. And so this is in Second Great War, and first thing I do, of course, I invest pretty heavily in like this thing. Okay, this actually gameplay is going pretty fast. I sped it up a little bit faster this time. But I invested most of it in like military upkeep because I really wanted to, I mean, I knew that's gonna impact me a lot in the future when I make a bigger army. So I planned ahead. And soon enough, I took out French Guiana, and then I immediately went on to take over Suriname, which both conquests were pretty easy. And then of course Guyana was there, but I decided to just wait for one moment, get some reinforcements before I attacked Guyana, and so I completely surrounded Guyana with a decent amount of troops, and then soon enough I began my invasion of Guyana in a few more turns, and oh yeah, there was a little plague, but whatever. Began my invasion of Guyana. I did an ultimatum for no reason. I knew they were gonna reject it, but I mean, why not? Like so many wars have been started over ultimatums. I don't know. I just did it for fun, and so I completely annexed Guyana, and so after that, I assimilated the place and I moved those 10,000 troops all the way down to Uruguay so that I can continue my attacks there. I lined up my forces and I attacked Uruguay next. That invasion went pretty fast as well. However, they stopped me at one point, but I had to like reorganize my lines, and then I not counterattacked, but I like continued the attack. And soon enough, I was at their capital and took them out. Next, though, Mexico attacked me, and so I didn't want to get into a war with Mexico. I did not want to bother, and so instead, I got the USA to declare war on them so that they wouldn't bother me. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, I moved my troops towards Paraguay to attack them, and of course, I reinforced my army a little bit, because it can't be really too sure. And then I attacked Paraguay, and so I mainly focused my attack on the north. But then they managed to find a gap in my line somehow, which I still have no clue how, right? But luckily, I was able to close it before they did anything. And then soon enough, I was on my way advancing into their mainland, or not, like heartland, I don't know, capital, whatever. And I was basically took out Paraguay. Funny enough, guys, just 2 videos back was the Paraguay takes half of South America video, so I guess that's kind of funny. Anyways, after that, the next thing I did was I looked back to the north, and I saw Colombia and Peru were fighting it out. I did not want to get involved yet because I didn't really want to get into a war with Peru or anything if Peru took territory, so that would be frustrating. So I should let them fight it out. Meanwhile, I prepared my invasion of Bolivia, which would be a much easier target, and so I decided to just get them done with. No one was at war with them, so it would be easy. And I started my invasion. I started attacking on really all fronts, and this invasion went incredibly well. They weren't really able to resist on any attack whatsoever, and so all I had to do was just properly keep the lines straight. But they managed to suddenly push me back in the north, and I had to quickly reinforce my lines. Luckily, I do have the tendency of having monetary reserves, reserves of money just there. And so I was able to quickly recruit new troops. And also, I took the advantage of pushing into the south of Bolivia. Meanwhile, I managed to close the pocket in the north and took them out completely. And so now I was once again in the winning. Bolivia's offensive was completely crushed, and I took that advantage and I took over their country pretty quickly, reached La Paz and took them over. Meanwhile, as I was doing that, I realized Chile had completely taken over Peru, and and I didn't even notice it happen. That's the funny part. I completely had no clue, and I went and I realized, okay, now Colombia's war with Peru is over, and Venezuela and Colombia had actually tag teamed on Peru. And so what I did was I prepared to attack Venezuela first. So I moved my remaining troops and lined up their borders to prepare for the attack, whilst also creating a new army from the Guyanas. I recruited from there. And so I once again did an annexation ultimatum for, I don't know, I just did it for fun. I didn't really I mean, if they accepted it, it's a win, right? I get my territory without even a war, but like honestly, I don't even I expect them to accept it. So, I just did it for fun. Anyways, I then realized that I completely forgot to assimilate Bolivia. I rushed into this war for no reason. But nevertheless, I decided it could wait. And so I realized I had all the territory I needed, and I was about to make peace, but then I was like, what if I conquer more, I tried to pull a characteristic thing that I do, what I do normally. I just try to conquer more. But then all of a sudden, they attacked me from the side without even, like, unexpected, right? They attacked from the Colombian territory because they have military access, and then they attacked from another province. And then I realized maybe it's not worth the time spent to conquer all of this. And so I just decided to make peace, take the lands I wanted, give some war reparations, and then just leave. I mean, listen, it's not as flashy or glamorous of a victory, but it sure as hell saves my time. So I disbanded my army, sadly, but alas, it was to gain more money so that I could quickly assimilate all these territories without having them revolt. Meanwhile, all I had left was some territories in Colombia, Chile, and Argentina, so Argentina was obviously going to be kept for last. Meanwhile, I started raising money for the invasion of Colombia, and I had to turn on the population map mode actually to find out exactly where to recruit from. And, I basically just milked all the manpower I could from Guyana, the Guianas. And so I just took all the manpower from their cities right there and created a new pretty strong army. I used this army and I lined it up on Colombia, all over Colombia's border. And so soon enough, the war began. But all of a sudden, Venezuela attacks me, Chile attacks me, and even the U.S. is at war with me now. And so I'm shocked. Okay, obviously, I get Nicaragua, Honduras, Belize, and Canada to go to war with the USA. Meanwhile, with Venezuela, I just get them to make peace with me. Same thing with Chile. I don't think Chile is going to make peace with me, so I start recruiting like crazy in the south, while I also start pushing in Colombia because I didn't want to lose out there. But luckily, both Chile and Venezuela made peace with me, and so I did not have to worry about them any longer. Meanwhile, my final stretch of territory was taken in Colombia, and I was able to annex all the territories that I wanted. I didn't really go for any further conquests because it would be a waste of time. And I gathered my army once more and assimilated these territories, of course. And then I moved my army down south to Chile because I realized, oh wait, I can just organize there and try another invasion, like right after this one, because they just tried to attack me, so I could get my revenge. But then I realized maybe, like, no, well, it took me a while, but then I thought about it, and even though I increased my military upkeep, like the buff against it, and that would decrease it, I decided to demilitarize my border a little bit because I wanted to make back some money so that I could properly attack them rather than attack them on a gamble. And so I held back, and then I once again reinforced my army with like recruiting in those provinces, and then I attacked Chile. Now, my main target, of course, were the three provinces that I needed for the formation of that state of the Greater Brazil. But my other main focus was attacking their Peruvian territories, which I honestly just wanted to take because I just wanted to like weaken them, right? And they actually held up quite strong against me. In fact, they even launched a naval invasion, which I wasn't suspecting. But the thing was, they were quickly stopped before they could do anything. And they tried another naval invasion, but they couldn't. And so once they depleted their men with the naval invasions, I was finally able to take the territory, and then I made peace with them. And so after I made peace with them and took the territory, I decided to re-release a new nation, and I thought about Peru-Bolivian Confederation, but I was not able to find that, so I decided to go with releasing the Inca Empire. And so I just released them with their capital at Lima, and then of course after that I started I started trading the provinces that I did not want, that weren't a part of my formable, because as you guys have probably know already, I don't usually like to take extra territory that is not required in the formable. I like to make it accurate. And so after that I stopped, and after that I collected my troops. So now I had a new puppet, which is cool, I guess. And so afterwards I look over at the north, they're just fighting, whatever. I don't care about those territories anymore. Meanwhile, I move my troops all the way to the border of Argentina and just line up the border. Not completely, however. There's still a large border left, but of course, I intend to fill that up with fresh new recruits, straight from Uruguay, and of course the Brazilian coastline. Which I mean, of course, I recruit from like the densely populated areas because I mean that's where you get most of the recruits from. And so I prepared for an invasion of Argentina, and once I felt like I had enough, I invaded. Now, thing was, I only needed a small territory from Argentina. So, truly speaking, I did not need to attack very much. And I only attacked on that front. And so I left the rest of it, right? I left on I stopped, I did not attack on the northern part. And I decided to just take this territory while I had it, which I could. But the thing was, the Argentinian AI didn't let me. And they even came up with a massive counterattack to the south, which prompted me to move my forces immediately to the south as well. And of course, in response to their advance into my territory, I started attacking their territory because one, I wanted to gain more leverage than them if there ever came a peace deal, and two, I also wanted to quickly move my troops down so that maybe these troops that are being useless right now, they can help in the attack on Argentina. And so at some point, as I was playing, I kind of forgot about the fact that, I'm trying to do a challenge here. And I'm like, you know what, screw it, I'm just invading all of Argentina right now. Like, I genuinely forgot that I was supposed to be, focused on the challenge. Like, I could have made peace halfway through this war and shortened the video, but I didn't. So I probably should have. It would have saved me time as well. And the video time and shorten it as well. But alas, I forgot. It's fine though. You guys can just watch me conquer Argentina as Brazil for just a few minutes. And so I end up just going all the way. Like I just continue conquering Argentina, right? At some point, I eventually their entire resistance breaks down, and they stop being able to even resist. I just walk through their country. Meanwhile, I sent some units down all the way to the south, southernmost tip part, and then I annex the whole thing. Now, why do I annex the whole thing? Well, I just want to take over the entire thing because, I didn't waste all that time for nothing, did I? So after that, I decided to try release La Plata, but I realized that's not there here. So I instead decided to just release New Spain because why not? And I released it around like the northern bits, like the more heavily populated bits of Argentina. I just released New Spain. And then I give them some more territory. And I contemplate giving them all the territory, but at the same time, I stop and I instead decide to split Argentina up. I release Argentina in the down farthermost south as a nation because I keep them alive, but they're weak, so they cannot attack me anymore. And the next thing I do is I go and I release the Argentine Federation, which is of course, it counts as a different country. And so that way, different from Argentina, so it's separate. So what I essentially do here is I divide Argentina, so that they're essentially the vassals can be controlled. And so after all that, I finally form the Greater Brazilian Empire. I will see you guys next time in the next video. Goodbye.